Hello, everybody. This is Real Talk back at you again. Real Lion Talk. And what I mean by that, real man talk. So if you're a real person, you're real. And what I mean by a lion, I'll get into that later. But let's talk about the resident coon, Jesse Lee Peterson. His best friend, or one of his friends, Colin, a fellow Republican, he makes a career out of talking about in a very disparaging, very disrespectful, demeaning about us. He is the typical culture vulture. His only means of life is talking about us and making a profit on us and exploiting the mindset of the typical Negro who have so much confusion and self-hate and on tons of medication. Why? He don't know who he is, and if he do, he don't care. And this is the main reason why a lot of younger generations do not respect the older generation, just like him, the typical house nigga. And when I say that, I'm saying that because I can say that. I'm not going to do it because I know people like him will copyright strike me, which I don't need on this little channel because I already have so many. It's crazy. But when you talk about the truth and you say the things that need to be said and the way it should be said, yes, maybe I should finesse certain words and mean the same. I get that. But in times I'm passionate about this. Number one, obviously I'm not doing this for the money. But there is no money talking about the disparaging, disrespectful, real issue of so-called Black and Hispanic problems in the household. It has zero to do with money and status. I know that's what we love to talk about because here's the difference. Where do you have anything or not? Who are you? What is your culture? What do you stand for? You don't know. You don't care to know. Because why? You in survival mode. You in repeat mode. Work, eat, repeat. That's it. That's what it is. And Jesse Lee Peterson's, whatever I felt about Congressman Cummings, his passing, hearing Jesse Lee Peterson say that God killed Congressman Cummings, Elijah Cummings. It goes to show you how destroyed this man is. He is the typical modern day one that you would have to worry about. If we was going to get into a war, you would have to worry about him. Why? Because his objective is to save his master. He loves the boot of his master to the much. He probably had barbecue sauce, ketchup on the boot. You know what I mean? Because he feel he has the best peak of the boot, he is the type of Negro you will have to put down. Point blank, period. Why? Because he hate people that look like you and me. Always have, always will. So when people talk about we're not suffering from an identity crisis, we're not suffering from self-hate, we're not suffering from true lack of knowledge of true self, we're not suffering from those who have so much layers of distraction and confusion and corruption and meddling. He don't get it. Why? Because you honestly think they would let a person like him on a platform if he wasn't disparaging or trying to convert, or what this conversation is all about? This is for white folks. In fact, all of his supporters are white people. White people who think and feel this way love this genre and this rhetoric. Why? Because it makes them feel to be good to be white. And it makes them feel superior. Where we did a right thing by enslaving you, killing you, raping you, stealing your culture, turning your culture and your inventions and flip it around and make it our own and don't sell it. Just like the Elvis Presleys, and I could go on and all of the culture vultures. You find out Otis Blackwell, he copied every word he said. In fact, he never written any songs. But That doesn't matter to the modern day white supremacist mindset. So what are you talking about radical right anywhere between? It is the exact same thing. Why? Because they understand some things that it's not about this nonsense layer stuff. But when you pull the layers off, it's still white supremacy, point blank, period. So what are you talking about? It's the left wing. What are you talking about? It's the right wing. The head of that bird is still white supremacy. So when people talk about all this liberal nonsense, all this Republican nonsense, or progressive even to a certain extent, it's all the same because it's not ours. The only thing that's going to happen to a person like him, we have to cancel. He doesn't care if me or you do not like him. He doesn't care that my opinion on him. Because his objective is to please his genre and his demographic. It's people who frown on him, probably wouldn't spit on him if he was on fire. And he's fine with that. Why? Because he is the typical Christian who don't know the Bible, hate the Bible, and only exploit the Bible to make money. But then when you talk about the laws, statutes, and commandments, oh, those things are done away with. For if they're done away with, then why are you mentioning it in the first place if you don't believe in it? If you have no belief in that. I would never do nothing I don't believe in. You know what I mean? But when you read the Bible, the book of Deuteronomy 28, you start to figure out who's this referring to. But the people like Jesse Lee Peterson's, these are the mindset that we got to come to terms with. Separate ourselves, family. So we're busy on home front talking about Moors and Africa. Africans are trying to get out of there. Yes, do we have brothers and sisters still there? Yes, but not the whole continent belongs to us. Meaning our bloodline and blood ties, maybe less than a third. Far as bloodline descent, everybody else is Obama. Kenyan and all the Canaanites, they have no blood ties to us. We're not the same people or the same spirit. They don't even like us. Case in point, the Philossian Ethiopians, they have no blood ties to us. We're not the same people. So you need to figure out who is your people. This stuff I'm saying that Jesse Lee Peterson, he could care less about. He probably heard it before and said, I have no talent. And I have so much self-hate because of who I am. I don't know who I am, and I don't care. I hate God. Why? Because God looked like me, and I look like God. So, my white master, which is Christianity, which follows, and this is another thing that really tripped me out by some of them that think that way. You cannot say you're a Christian, you're against homosexuality, because Christianity itself was founded on homosexuality. That's why I don't consider myself the typical Christian. Why? Because it's all about homosexuality. It's all about gender bending. It's all about breaking God's laws. It's all about pagan worship. It's all about nonsense. It's all about corruption and confusion and enslavement. Do I read the Bible? Absolutely. But the difference between me and those, I keep the law, statutes, and commandments. I do the things the Bible's supposed to say. I read the whole book. There is no such thing as me reading one part of the book and disparaging the other. And that's the mindset of the typical Negro. Because why? They hate God and they only look at it as a way of making money. So we can sit here and talk about God knows my heart. All the typical crusade stuff that people know because they don't read the Bible and they don't do the things of the Bible. And most 99% of these pastors don't know or don't care to know. Why? It's all about Congress, you know. But when you talk about the Jesse Lee Petersons, that's his master right there. Colin, right here. I said a lot of stuff on my channel. You know what I mean? Like on his channel, he basically called us niggers. He basically said everything he could, and he didn't even flinch. Because why? To him, that means nothing. Every other race can say things about their own, and nobody among them will get upset. But when it comes to so-called black people and Hispanic people, we say, oh, but we're killing each other. We're killing each other, and they're killing themselves too. Case in point, They kill themselves probably at an alarming rate more than us. The problem is, why can't we join in the front killing the Negro? The Negro kills the Negro. Why do it? How many people you see kill one of them, murder one of them, assault one of them, disrespect them? They're not going to tolerate that. So I tell people who want to have that narrative about black on black crime, I'm cool with talking about that because you're right. I will never deny that. But here's the difference. Let's talk about white on white crime. Let's talk about white domestic terrorism. Let's talk about all of the things that go along why we do and think and feel one another. Let's talk about how the American government itself is against us. Global warming. What is his name? We forgot about his name. All of those guys, the Steinbergs and the Bushwicks and the Rockefellers, you know, and the founder of Microsoft, Bill Gates, talking about global warming. He's talking about eradicating so-called black and brown people, especially people from my bloodline lineage. But because people are seduced by titles and names, and we don't know because why? We've been seduced and romanticized by nonsense to talk about inclusion. And it's not inclusion because their race is dying off. Ours is still flourishing. Even though the things that they're doing to us and the things we're doing to ourselves. And most of the things we do for ourselves come from a position of self-hate, lack of knowledge of true self, fear, and was brought up the wrong way. And religion, pagan religion. You tell me these Christians, they don't keep the Sabbath. They don't keep the commandments. They don't do the things that are done. They don't observe the high holy days. Those done away with. So if it's done away with, why are you talking about it in the first place? He claimed to be a Christian. Why do you have so much hate for his own people? Why do you have so much love for his master's boot? He's savored. He probably goes to sleep with the master's boot in his mind, savoring of his boot, because that's the type of Negro you're dealing with, you know? So if I said who he really, you probably wouldn't know. So I'm using byword terms that we go by so you'll know who I'm referring to. Because I know a lot of us don't know and don't care to know. And I know it's only going to be a few that can stomach the truth. So on the back end of things, this is what they continue to do. Pushing feminist mindset. Why? Because the agenda is to make our women even more independent. And by making them more dependent, it's pushing away from the masculine man. It's pushing away from the structure that God had for our people. And our people were supposed to gather themselves together, a nation not desired. Not dispersion, not corruption, not confusion and distraction. Who are you? Jesse Lee Peterson. He's a coon. He's the one that you will have to worry about when you get into a fight or a race war or anything to defend the code or the belt of so-called black man masculinity or he will drop the belt or the fight. In fact, he will leave the back door open. Why? Because, ice on sea color. But then you look at your own people with so much self-hate and confusion, you will say and do whatever it is to do. So when people say these things, man, they only saying it because they hate themselves and their people, and it's all about money. But this man get on here and go hard. His objective is clear. That Colin guy, his whole objective is to keep the foot on the neck of black men. Keep the foot on the neck of black women and make them out of sleeper cell bedwenters. Keep them at the foot. His whole career in books or YouTube is all about disrespecting and exploiting a people who already been exploited enough, already been corrupted and confused enough. We can sit here and talk about Congress all day, every day. But these are the things we got to do. like, comment, and subscribe to my videos. If you are a person of my descent, you need to support a brother like me so I can do more. Because how many of us going to tell it like it is? We can sit here and talk about jailhouse stuff or Israelite or whatever the case may be. That's fine. But I've never been in jail. So all the brothers, they can't do it all. You know. And shout out to all the brothers pushing this truth and the sisters pushing this truth. Shout out to all of the real brothers and sisters who know and see what this is and not afraid to tell like a truth. So like I say, we don't support our own, stand for our own, continue to watch the carnage mentally, financially, spiritually, verbally, and all the things in between. Do I completely fault our kids? Absolutely not. I fault the grown-ups and those with the agenda. So I say peace out. This is Real Lion Talk. Subscribe, watch my videos so I can continue. That way it encouraged me to continue to do what I do. The content. Because it needs to be said. It needs to be heard. It needs to be enforced. Masculinity cannot be toxic. Cannot be disruptive. Everybody else in culture can do whatever they want. Why can't we speak our truth and say what means something to us and stand for us, you know? And we go from there. And I thank you for those who do support me. I appreciate it. All right.